Welcome back, everybody. This is the Barcode Mixer, and today we're on a special location. This is really cool. Thank you to Miami Community News, and we are here with Rebecca Quiñonez. Rebecca owns Q. What's the name of the company again?
Q Consulting Firm.
Consulting Firm. But Rebecca is also a friend of a friend because you worked with Susan Strom, who was on the show earlier on this year, and she's a powerhouse, incredible. She spoke very highly of you. She was at my bar recently with her husband. They had a great time, and we just got into the whole. You told me how she was helping you out get from the ground up when you first started in this business. So I want to let you tell it because your story is incredible, and you yourself are a powerhouse. Like, I love how you're just such a go-getter and you got your hand in everything.
Oh my God. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me, Ray. This is dope. This setup is absolutely dope. So I am super grateful. But yes, I came to Miami 21 years ago. And so I originally started from the distributor side. I was part of Young's Market Company's very first Hispanic division. So imagine that. So 20 plus years ago, a Hispanic division didn't exist in the sales force.
That's crazy.
I know, right? So I was a part of the original Hispanic division of Young's Market Company in Northern California, handling San Francisco and Oakland. I was a part of the original team to launch Cazadores Tequila when Bacardi bought it.
Okay.
I was a part of the original team as well to launch Hennessy, and we were part of the first group of Hennessy Hispanic ambassadors as well.
Wow.
And so from Young's, I get recruited to Shefflin and Somerset. So I became one of the first Hispanic ambassadors from Hennessy. I did that for a little bit of a year. And then I got a phone call from the team at Diageo that they were looking to launch Tequila Don Julio in the country.
And this is when you met Susan.
And this is when I met Susan. So correct. So I get relocated from San Francisco, California to Miami Beach, Florida.
Oh,
and
girl.
I know,
Awful.
I know, pobrecita. I know. And so, yes, so then I was a part of the original team. There was 4 national ambassadors. We had California, Jaime Salas. I don't know if you know him. He's with Cuervo now.
No.
A gentleman who's still with Diageo, working on the Julio is Jorge Raptis. He's in Texas. Another powerhouse, Gina Castillo. She was in Illinois, Chicago based. And then I got South Beach. And so they relocated me to Miami Beach, Florida. Thought I would be here for like a year, 2 years. And the rest is history. I've been here 21 years later.
Jesus.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And you're originally from the Bay Area. We got to talking a little bit because as we're walking in to this lovely space, we see a bunch of sports memorabilia, and we started geeking out over the 49ers.
Yes.
And what a powerhouse that was back in the day.
Yes.
With all those players and stuff. So like, I love the fact that you grew up a Bay Area girl with the sports and the whole nine. That's so nice. And you're originally from Nicaragua, correct?
That's correct. So roots, Nicaraguan roots.
Yeah.
Correct. Born in San Jose. So because of the war, Sandinista Contra war, family immigrated to San Jose, California, Bay Area. I had family in San Francisco, San Bruno, but Northern California. And then family relocated, like I said, summer of 78.
Yeah.
And so I was born June 6, 1978, San Jose, California.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. We got a huge influx of Nicaraguans too here in Miami. Not necessarily in 78. I want to say a little bit after, like the 80s, early 90s. And they started calling Little Havana Little Managua because at some point, but it was great because that's when all the fritangas came.
That's right. Yeah. Gallo Pinto.
I could live off of that stuff.
Yes.
Jambo, that's my spot.
Yes.
Everyone goes to Pinolendia because it's open like 24
Queso
hours.
Frito. My God. Yes.
Jugo de pitaya. That was like my
tamarindo, pitaya.
Yeah.
Delicia.
Oh that's so good.
Yeah.
So what gets you in the business? Like what got you started in all this? What were you doing before you started selling liquor?
Interesting. So I came from retail. So I originally, so I started working at the age of 15 and a half with a work permit.
Right.
Yep. But what really caught sort of my fascination in the service, hospitality, everything, the love for it, was my mother. So my mom was a cocktail waitress, and a bartender for 25 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Where?
In Northern California, in the Bay Area.
Okay.
She was some of the most popular restaurants. One was Spangler's in Berkeley.
Okay.
Yep, hostess, waitress. But her more formidable years, she spent 15 years at the Fairmont Hotel. And this is during the boom of .com, of the tech boom.
Right.
So we're talking
Oh
like
my God, so
1992,
so all the
starting.
tech bros were there.
Correct. Like she was literally waiting on like, Bill Gates,
Right.
like was one of her customers,
Right.
And so she, through that, just watching her, service, the love, she wouldn't remember their name, but she would remember their drink, remember their cocktail, how they liked it served, what
Right.
kind of gin is it, what kind of martinis do you want? Is it dirty? Is it up? Is it dry? Is it extra dry? So she would remember those things.
Right.
And her love for it. That's what's her social hour. The money was phenomenal. I mean, my job was to count her tip money in the Crown Royal bags. So that was my job. I was her little accountant. And Royal bags, yeah. 100%.
All used to
So imagine being a little girl, right? Counting your mom's tip money from Crown Royal bags. And then, 20 plus years later, I get inside of Diageo and I'm seeing Crown Royal and I'm like, oh my God.
That's so serendipitous.
Yes.
Wow. That's such a full circle moment.
Correct. There were many full circle moments for me. The first whiskey I ever sampled was because mom wanted an incentive,
right.
a Macallan incentive.
Okay.
And so mom ended up winning a Macallan 25 year.
Oh.
And so that was the first whiskey, Imagínate. Yes. So that was the first Scotch whiskey I ever tried. After that
felt like trash after that.
Pues basura. It's like, no es lo mismo, no era lo mismo. But yeah, so that, level of understanding, entry to the world of wines and spirits.
Yeah.
Cuervo as well. She ended up, introducing me to Jose Cuervo. She'd be making, margaritas at home and, making sure that everything she learned, at work, that she would teach us and all of our friends,
right.
Who are now adult, 40, 50-year-old women, and they talk about it. The first time that they sampled a fine wine or a spirit was because of my mother. And so that was truly the entryway and the passion and love for the hospitality, service, and the world of spirits. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The story's a little bit emotional. Like my eyes are watering right now. It's so funny because I'm a very vivid thinker.
Yeah.
And I could just think of what it must have been like, for her in the 80s, in a time, a Latina in a country that wasn't hers, like just busting her ass. I mean,
busting her
ass.
Correct.
And the shit she probably had to deal with back then.
Man,
she was getting groped and touched and all that kind of stuff.
She was very fortunate in that regard, where there were moments where it could have been an uglier situation. Sure. Yes. And so being protected was something that
important.
Correct. And so we were very blessed in that regard, that there were situations that could have been worse.
But luckily the place she worked at kind of
correct.
That's
correct.
Phenomenal.
Correct.
I mean, I've heard things that used to happen back then that
and Ray, I was just going to say, they still do.
Sure,
they still do. We could be better, at protecting, our teams are the most vulnerable, right? And being self-aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
Not only with customers, but people that, work with us, bosses that we report to.
Yeah.
Right. And so, so the most vulnerable people in our community are also people that are undocumented. Right. And so who do you call if something happens? Right. And so that's something, like I said, as a community within hospitality, we have to make sure that we're paying attention to.
It's funny. I didn't think I was going to go there, but I'm going here now. You said the undocumented thing, and this whole thing that's been happening lately with ICE and whatnot. And we don't get political on the show, but just an observation. And we don't realize, because Miami's such a Latin community. Miami's such a, but Miami is not America. Miami's Latin America. It's true. And we don't think that it can happen here, where we don't think like, no, there's too many of us, yada, yada, yada. I was driving to work the other day, I think it was last week, and I'm on Harding on the beach, and I see two ICE SUVs in front of an apartment building that I know there's a lot of Latin Americans that live in there. And you know how it is, you know what I mean? Like people get together and like 5, 10 live in a 1-bedroom apartment because that's what they can afford. And and most of the time they're not there anyway. They're just working. So they do what they call hotbeds, right? You ever heard of this? Where they 3 people share the same bed because they work in shifts, so they sleep in shifts. So I'm assuming that's what was happening because they were bringing out like 5, 6 people out of handcuffs. And I was like, oh shit, it's here too.
Yeah.
Like we think that it's in, you know, as we tend to be oblivious sometimes to that because we think, oh no, that's just in, you know, the big cities that are more gringo, right? Like, oh, that's going to be in Chicago. That's going to be in LA. That's going to be in this. Nah, but it's happening here too.
100%. I mean, South Florida was one of the first, I mean, think about it, Alligator Alcatraz.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, but I thought they were bringing everybody from everywhere else there. I didn't realize it was
locals.
It was locals.
Correct. And so you think about, you know, these, the prison system, you know, it's a for-profit.
Right. Oh,
right?
Yes.
So the more bodies that you have,
Yeah.
right, that's all by design.
Sure.
Right. And so when the announcements were made, right, that undocumented, regardless if you had been in this country legally, right, going through the legal frameworks of getting, you know, documented and, you know, residency, citizenship, all of that.
Right.
I mean, the stock went up in all of these prison systems, right? And so it's all by design. And so most of these individuals that come to this country again, right, if their country hadn't been disrupted, if their economic, you know, economies in their own countries hadn't been, you know, disrupted, they wouldn't be here. And so we are the labor force, right? As I'm a first generation, you know, same, right? We are the labor force and backbone of this country.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm, you know, that's not to, you know, say anything negative or positive, but that's a fact. These are just facts.
For sure.
Right.
No,
and so 90, especially within hospitality, right? Who's in the kitchen? You know, even at Chinese, even at Asian restaurants, you know, Vietnamese and Korean restaurants, it's not, you know, Asians, it's actually Latinos, Mexicans. I think Bourdain would say it. He wouldn't trust a kitchen if there wasn't a Mexican person working behind it. Right. And so yeah.
I remember when I lived in New York for a little bit, and when I first moved there, I had this like a obscure reality because of what you see in movies and this, that, whatever. So I go work in Little Italy. One of my first jobs was at an Italian restaurant, and I thought that this was like authentic. It was going to be like someone's grandma, but it was all Mexicans, and they were cooking the best Italian food.
Right. Lo mejor.
Yeah, and then the family meal was great.
Yes.
Because they would do like a little bit of like Mexican, Italian fusion.
Yes.
And just add some more chile albo to it or something.
Yes.
It was incredible.
Yes. And people talk about that. They'll go to Italy and they'll come back. They're all the best Italian food I get. It's Mexican cooked. Yes. Same with Asian cuisine as well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you see the fusions in LA, Korean, Mexican. Forget about it. It's wild. But yeah, and going back to what's happening locally, I mean, it's a moment now. What we can control is create these safe spaces, right? Talk about them, create the safe spaces where people who are the most vulnerable in our community, not just women, but the undocumented, right? Black and brown faces. And so that there is inclusivity, that, you know, there is safe spaces for them to be at and be protected.
Yeah.
And so when ICE were doing the raids in the Keys, hotel managers, you know, were blocking entrances. You know, you can't come here. And so being able to stand up and be able to protect them, that's something I think it's extremely important, especially more so now with what's happening, for sure.
I didn't realize you could not let them in.
Yeah.
That's great.
There's no warrant.
There's no warrant.
Right.
There's no warrant.
There's no warrant. And then also, too, there's a lot of individuals go out with megaphones, right? In Spanish, no salgas de tu casa.
Right.
You know, don't open the door. No le tienen que hablar. You don't have to speak to these individuals.
Right.
And so those activists, attorneys that are there to protect, immigration attorneys, you know, feeding knowledge, giving as much information to people what to do in a situation. But yeah. I mean, think about it. There were so many people going to their court case, right? Judge would say, no, you know, clear you, you know, you need to come back. And then there would be ICE officials waiting for them outside of the courtroom to arrest them.
Isn't that entrapment? Isn't that illegal?
Well, yeah.
You know, entrapment is, that's to me, I'm not a lawyer, but that sounds like entrapment to me.
Yeah. There were so many of our rights, human rights being, you know, violated, you know, throughout this whole ordeal. And so, and it's still, you know, our rights are being violated. So yeah.
There's also been cases where people are born here.
See?
and
they're being
they have the same name,
yeah.
and they're not back yet.
And there were some rumors too that they were, tapping into Social Security, like checking our last names, identifying Social Security number, bank account information, like a lot of banks. I think it was Bank of America that was actually giving out like names of, Hispanic names,
Right.
to process where their address, where they're living at. There was a gentleman, I saw a video, he was pulled over by CHP, Florida Highway Patrol, California Highway Patrol. And when they got his driver's license, they asked for his Social Security number as well. And he's like, why?
Whoa.
He goes, yeah. And so he goes, because I can't find you in the system. And so they were deleting last names and basically personal information, files on people, right? So you're not technically in the system, right? You can't prove that you are, right? So how do you prove it? So that's what was happening as well. Yeah, some crazy shit happening. Crazy shit happening. Yeah.
But it's a good thing we could always go to a bar and have a drink about
That's
it.
right, Ray. And talk about it.
And talk about it.
Well,
that's the whole point, right? I mean, this is why we love, I think that the term third spaces was coined by Starbucks. And then one of my guests on the show, Tom Lasher Walker from Area Hospitality Group, he says that we live in third spaces. And I feel like that's the importance of it, right? Like, you can't be home, you can't be at work. Like, we need a little, and it doesn't have to be a bar. It could be a coffee shop. It could be a tea house, right? But just to have that safe space, like we say.
Absolutely. I mean, how many bars you walk in and, Tommy back there was talking about, we talked about Smith and Walensky's, and it's, an Italian family,
right.
Irish, the Irish family, bartenders. And so you felt like you were home. Right. There's so many spaces that you walk into and you feel like you're home. The bartender knows all your secrets.
There's also something about like walking into a bar and having an Irishman back there with the full accent.
Yes.
It feels like the real deal. Right?
That's right. That's right. Yes. And so, you're therapists, right? Most bartenders are therapists. You hear it all, you know it all, you know what's happening, what's not only what's happening locally, globally, politically, what's, personally.
Politically, the funny thing is, like, I rarely have time to watch the news or be up on things.
Yep.
Like, I get all my news
from the people that walk in.
By the bar.
That's right.
When they'll say something that's interesting, I'll look it up.
Right.
Like,
hey, Ray, did you hear about this?
And I'll read the article.
Right.
But also, like, you haven't been to my bar.
No,
we have hanging newspapers because it's an old school, like, bistro.
Yeah.
So we have actual daily newspapers. When I'm setting up, sometimes I'll see an article that catches my eye and I'll just go out there and read it or whatever. But, like, I literally I always joke and say, I've been in and out of bars since I was a kid.
Yep.
Right. I used to hang out at Monty's when I was a kid with my mom. Yep. I was in a stroller. We were at Monty's.
Love it.
On the thing. So I always joke and say that everything that I've learned in a bar, whether on this side of the stick or on that side of the stick.
That's
but
right.
I learned it at a bar.
That's right.
Because before Google, it was the old guy sitting at the end of the bar. Tommy, we were sitting at Sandbar yesterday. What was that guy's name? Sean. He's gonna be 90.
He's our.
Yeah, I can tell. He's gonna be 90 next month.
Love
or
it.
Next week.
God bless him.
Next month he's gonna be 90.
Que Dios lo bendiga.
And this guy was talking about, because he was the one that did the remodeling for the guy's still working in construction. He hangs up their Christmas lights and stuff, and it's like that guy is worth more to me than Google.
Facts.
Because Google can tell you what happened. He lived it.
Facts. Yes. No, absolutely.
That guy was incredible.
Yeah.
I was enamored by him.
Dude, at the forefront of culture. That's another thing. We're literally in the nucleus of culture, where culture starts. Conversations, trends,
even
everything.
The overthrowing of the English regime.
Yes.
They were hiding out in bars.
That's right.
They were discussing everything in bars.
That's right.
Philadelphia and all along.
That's right.
The New England colonies.
That's right. Everything happens, like, let me tell you, around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like, the same love and passion, like you said, walking into a bar, walking into a third space, whatever you want to call it. But it definitely feels like home. I'm always most comfortable with service and staff, talent, always.
Yeah.
I love being behind the scenes. Absolutely love it.
It's fun to watch. What we do is a lot of fun, because it's almost like we put on a show every night, right? And it's the experience for the guest. Because you could make a drink at your own house, you could have a steak at your own house,
of
right?
Course.
But, like, when you go out you're paying for much more than a meal. You're paying for much more than a drink.
Of course.
Right? You're paying for a story, for the knowledge, for the education, for the history,
comfort.
For the comfort.
For the comfort. I'm just looking to get out of, I live alone. I just relocated. I'm looking for some friends. I'm looking for some place to grab a great meal and comfort. I don't want to eat alone. Right. And so you eat at the bar.
Right.
Yeah, no, the best gossip, you understand what's happening in the city, but most of it, I think it's comfort. All of us look for that.
And I also feel like it's the perfect hack that most of us come from very humble beginnings.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And I always say that the restaurant industry is the aristocrat of the blue collar world. You know what I mean? Because where else can somebody like me, who grew up in Little Havana, immigrant parents, have been able to taste DRC wine? I would never be able to. I can't buy that on my own.
Right.
What you started with 25-year-old
Macallan. Imagínate.
Nowadays at my bar is almost $500 for the 2-ounce pour.
Right. You grew up in Little Havana. I grew up in Eastside San Jose.
There you go.
Right. Working class, of the San Jose community.
Yeah.
Cleaning houses during the day. Mom cleaned houses during the day, and at night she was cocktailing and bartending at the Fairmont.
My grandmother was she worked at a factory making basically uniforms. So she was literally on a line. It was a sweatshop. Let's call it what it was. It was a sweatshop. And she so much so that the dye that they used in the would make her fingers cracked. Like her fingers would bleed. Like if she had stigmata or something. It was crazy. Like she had no cream. And then my grandfather was a butcher and a cook in a lot of different restaurants.
Yep.
So it was like that's what it was.
Yep. Yeah. And some of the most humbling, hardworking people. And this is what I loved about the community that I grew up in. And I'm sure Little Havana was like that for you as well, is that the least that they had, they're willing to give you half of it.
Oh my God. Shirts off their back. Shirts off their back.
Right.
It's wild.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's exactly. And so that was the community that I grew up in.
And you see it a lot too when you go to other countries. Like I remember when I went to Cuba for the first time in like 2017, I believe it was.
Yeah.
It was right after a major hurricane, but we had the trip planned. We couldn't cancel anything, so we just went. The island was devastated from the hurricane, but that's when I realized depression is a first world problem. Because we would go to people's houses, they didn't have anything, and they're like, "Oh, go ahead, un roncito ahí," and they weren't going to drink with me because they only had. And I was like, "Listen, no, I'm not going to drink if you're not going to have a." So they would have a little taste because that was a rum they were saving.
Correct.
But they gave me a full glass and they had half.
Correct.
A glass, right?
Correct.
And it's like just things like that.
You get emotional from that.
For sure.
Right. Right.
Sure.
And my
family over there that I had never met before in my life.
Yeah.
And they treated me like they grew up with me.
Correct.
They made a huge dinner for me.
Correct.
And I know they didn't have that money to pull those masita de puerco and the rice. And I know that.
Of course.
But they did it
to honor you.
For my wife and I.
Correct. To honor you.
Yeah.
Correct. And to honor the family. 100%. It's beautiful.
It's wild.
It's beautiful. My grandma would always have a saying. She goes, échale más agua a la sopa.
Right.
Donde
come dos, como tres.
Sí. No, she would say, donde come uno, como en cien.
Oof.
Donde come uno, como en cien. And so she'd make miracles all the time. Grandma had 11 children.
Dude, it's crazy what they used to be able to do, right?
Yes. Yes. Milagros.
That's why when you hear the story about Jesus when he fed the crowds with what is it, 3 fish and 2 loaves of bread, it's like how much of that, like, because I think it's more than that, right? I think it's like that's how they started, but then people kept bringing things. If you think of it logically, right? I don't think he multiplied fish and bread. I think that he started sharing, and then people brought what they had. So this guy had dates, and this guy had grapes, and this guy had this, and somebody else brought another fish, and it could have been that. It was just community.
Community is everything, right? What's that African proverb, where when you have a child.
It takes a village to raise a child.
Correct.
Yeah.
Takes a village. Yeah. And so I was very grateful that I grew up in that community, that at that time, that era. And so for me, I'm not married, I don't have children, but for the way I pay it forward is anything I learn, anything that I get access to, a new door opening, I make sure I keep it open. I make sure that whatever information I have, I share it.
You jumped ahead of me a little bit. That was the code.
That's the code.
That's the code.
That's you asked me.
I asked you that. Yeah.
Yeah, what code do I live by? And my code is pay it forward.
Yeah.
You know, I've had such a privileged, I would say, a very blessed career. I mean, high school diploma, that's the farthest education that
Same.
yeah, high school diploma, graduated 1996, Silver Creek. Shout out to Silver Creek Raiders. And so, graduated in 96, started working in high school, retail, Macy's, Nordstrom, and then I landed in tech. I actually was working for a startup in telecom, Copper Mountain Networks,
Okay.
Palo Alto, California. I was employee number 27, something crazy like that. I was a receptionist, admin, you know, I did it all. And
You were a telemarketer? That's what this was, or no?
yeah, no, it was a DSL manufacturer,
Oh,
a
wow.
creator of DSL modems and routers. This is 1999,
Right.
1998, 1999. When dial-up was, going, was dissipating, and you had modems and routers for, big, large commercial businesses.
Yeah.
And so I was working for them. Company goes public. So explaining to a 19-year-old that you have stock options, and those stock options are now worth, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I stayed with the company for 2 years. Stock, when we opened, IPO'd was $63 a share. So that was a huge,
Yeah.
world change for me. My stock price was less than $2. The stock split again, and then it shot up to $187 a share.
Stock?
No, of course, I sold it all. Me fui pa'l carajo. I actually came to South Beach for a couple months. No, it was 2 years. I was 50% vested, and I quit, and then I was on a plane to Hawaii. I was in Kauai. From Kauai, I went to Nicaragua. Then I went to Jamaica, South Beach, Hamptons. I was all over.
The dream.
I told people, I go, ay, perdí el dinero. No, you didn't lose it. You spent it. There's a difference.
Right.
But I got to live that experience. My mom was like, save it, buy a house, buy something, invest it. Of course, I didn't. I spent it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed myself spending it. And then, few years later, I get the job to come to live in Miami to launch Tequila Don Julio in South Beach.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I had an understanding, right, of, travel, culture, hospitality, service, sales, distributor experience, alcohol experience, luxury experience. And so, I came to Miami, and like I said, I thought I would be here for a year, to launch Don Julio. And yes, Susan Strom was my first boss. How dope is that?
But you told me a story the other day over the phone, how she looked out for you.
Dude, she was
tell me that
Susan. So in the U.S., right, we operate as a 3-tier system, right? So you got your importer supplier, which in the case would be a Diageo, right?
Mhm.
The brand owners. You got your distributor, right? So the Southerns of the world, the RNDCs, the Young's Market companies. You got your distributor partners to distribute to retailers. And then you have your agency, right? Your agencies are your brand ambassadors, your activation agencies that do all the execution, all of that. And so it's managed within a 3-tier system. So at the time when I started with Tequila Don Julio and Cuervo, I was a part of the agency. The agency at the time was US Concepts, and then it became MKTG. Okay. And so a few of the directors for Latin America at Diageo were actually living on South Beach. And so they would see me, in the streets. They'd see me at Prime 112. They'd see me at Smith & Wollensky's. They'd see me at Ritz-Carlton, doing my thing. And so there was 2 joint ventures that were Diageo was entering. One of them was Kettle One Vodka, and the other one was Zacapa Rum.
Which you brought. Where is the Kettle One bottle?
Behind you.
Somewhere. It's behind me?
Yeah, it's behind you. Yes. So protocol, whenever you're looking to poach, talent, employee within, the company, you need to ask, right? So protocol. So they asked Susan, right? And so they called Susan, and they asked if they were able to interview me, right? And Susan off the bat already knew. She's like, you don't want to interview Rebecca. You want Rebecca. And she goes, I can give you Rebecca on 2 conditions. She goes, first, the position cannot be inside an agency. It has to be inside of Diageo, because that's what she wants and that's what she deserves. Second, if you can honor that, the second commitment is that you need to pay her a substantial amount of money more. She's completely underpaid and undervalued. And so if you can promise me those two things, you can have Rebecca. And that was it. And she made it happen. She actually got written up or got yelled at because of it, since I was a highest performing ambassador. And so I was actually the first and only ambassador under MKTG to ever actually get inside of Diageo. And so I had tried multiple times, but because I only had a high school diploma, Diageo wouldn't even interview me.
Right.
Right. But because of Susan and Latin America wanting me so bad for this joint venture, they said, we're willing to overlook it for her. That's how talented, they thought of me. And so Susan made it happen. And so I'm forever grateful to her for that.
That's so big. 'Cause nobody does that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's like 1% of people in the world that do that.
Correct. And to stick her neck out like that, 100%.
Not only that, but she was losing you too.
100%.
Like, not only was she losing her best, salesperson.
Yep.
But she
knew
out for you.
Correct. She knew that I would be.
She wasn't going to hold you back.
Correct. And she would tell me all the time. She goes, "You're the most talented that I have. You know that." She'd be like, "Don't fuck up." And I would, and she was an amazing, not only boss, but a great coach, a great mentor.
Yeah.
Led by example. Susan's dope. Will always be dope. And so, yeah, I'll never forget, her having a major hand in allowing me to grow and to thrive. Yeah.
It's always interesting to me because I know a little bit of Susan's story too, and I know she didn't have like an easy, way up, right? And it's so funny how people can go one of two ways, right? You can start from the bottom and work your way up and then turn your back, or you can start from the bottom, work your way up with open arms.
Yep.
And I don't know what makes that switch happen. I don't know, but it's two sides of the same coin, right?
100%. You have to, this is very individual, right? It's very personal. Some people have it in them. A lot of times people place their fears and their ego before everything else, right? And so that's the other. But Susan saw it as her way of, how can I help and uplift as many people as I can, through the process when I have the opportunity. And then that's what she did.
I love hearing that kind of stuff because my grandfather on my father's side, my father's dad, he did construction. We did asphalt. The whole family does asphalt still. And back in the day, I would say maybe 60s, 70s, really 70s to 90s, while he was still running the businesses. If you were, an immigrant coming to this country, you basically worked with. If you did construction or asphalt, you worked with him. And one of the things he would tell his workers, he would show them the business, and he was like, "No, do it yourself." And they would look at him like, "Oh, but if I do it, wouldn't I be competing with you?" He was like, "There's no competition." He goes, "Because I can't do all the jobs." He goes, "So I'm going to throw you jobs. You're going to throw me jobs."
Beautiful.
And he goes, his famous saying that he used to say all the time, "El sol sale para todo mundo." The sun shines on everybody.
That's right.
And he never believed in competition. He believed in we're all we got.
Right. 100%. 100%. So anytime I get anything, I'm exposed, I have access, spaces, knowledge, anything, I share it. I'm not going to mention his name, but it was interesting. We had this was for one of our clients. They were looking for bartenders in New York for a Formula 1E program. And so I asked a few bartenders if they're willing to work, were they in town, all of that. And he had told me his price point, right? He asked, so what do you charge? So he gave me his fee, and it was beyond behind what the value of what they were paying for. It was very low, so low that I had to tell him, I said, "No, hun, I can't go back." Correct. You need to triple, that quote. And he was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yes." And then I started telling him, I said, "This is what the standard pay structure is. This is what you need to be charging because of who you are." And so he used that conversation to be able to negotiate for the current job he has now. And he thanked me for it. And so I don't know if I get to mention his name, if I could mention his name. It's Charles. Yeah, Charles Hardwick.
Charles Hardwick. All right.
Yeah. And so he thanked me for it. And he's like, I want to thank you, Rebecca, for doing that. And I was like, yeah, of course. Look, it's the being able to look out, for somebody else. Right. And so that's, like I said, that's the code I live by, pay it forward. If I have the ability to open a door, keep it open. Right.
And I mean, I'll tell you, like the first night that you and I met, I was at Sylvester.
Yeah.
I was doing Rapture's Deli.
Yep.
And I think, who introduced you to me?
Barna.
It was Barna that came.
Yes.
I can remember.
Yes.
But man, that's the first time you and I met, and we said 2 words from each other, but you felt like your energy, you just felt like a beacon of light.
Aw.
And you were just so happy to be there. And you could tell it's not fake, because a lot of liquor reps are full of shit. Like, let's be honest.
Let's see.
Like,
yeah.
They're full of shit.
Yes.
But you could tell that you are a genuine person, and it's really hard to find someone who's a salesman, right? That's a genuine person like that, because most people just want to sell you a product, but you don't sell things that you don't care about, or that you
correct
believe
that are not aligned.
That are not aligned with
right.
your values or
correct
with you as a person.
Correct.
And just from that initial interaction, and then we exchanged socials, and then you invited me to Himbrimi.
Yep.
Right. And we sat down and we were talking to was it Caesar?
Carlos.
We were sitting down on the
Salazar.
Carlos Salazar. Big shout out to him.
Yes.
Which then I realized that I've known Carlos in passing for years.
Yes.
You sit down next to me and you're like, how can I help you? What can I do for you? And I'm like, I didn't even know what to answer, because I've never had somebody just like out of the blue like that. Like, we don't even know each other like that yet. You know what I mean? And it's just so amazing that like you are the light.
Thank you, Ray.
I love people like that.
Beautiful. Thank you. The moment I met you, I felt the same. Like, there was this something, your smile, you're like, just your presence, because you have a major presence.
Honestly, I just have a good time back there.
Yes, you could tell. You could tell, like, we have a good time what we're doing, right? Like, no es trabajo, right? Because
I don't work a day in my life.
Right. And so I felt the same. I could easily say it's reciprocated. What you feel in me is what you see in you. Right.
That's deep.
Yeah. So what I see in you, I felt in me. So you see that? So it's reciprocated. I felt that energy. Same thing, like your passion for the industry. We come from humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Right. So we check our ego at the door. It's not about us. It's about them.
Yeah.
We live to serve, and there's so much honor in service.
Absolutely.
And so I take pride and honor in service. And so seeing you back there, like I said, for me, it's not about being Insta famous. It was never about being fucking Insta famous.
No.
We started before Instagram even existed, right? That wasn't the point, right? And so it wasn't it at all. It was about creating community. That's at the forefront of who I am, is building community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about Himbrimi.
Oh, yes. I'm so excited. So 4 years ago, I'm at Tales of the Cocktail, just like you, full circle moments.
Yeah.
I get to a Himbrimi activation, and I get to taste, and I'm not a gin drinker. Okay. So, I grew up, tequila, ron, being Nicaragüense, of course, flor de caña, of course, I'm a hardcore tequila drinker, rum drinker. Even inside of Diageo, I can have an appreciation for gin, but it wasn't, my favorite spirit.
Right.
But I'm at Tales of the Cocktail. I'm introduced to Himbrimi. I tried, one of their delicious, concoctions, and I'm like, whoa, this is fucking outstanding. It became unforgettable. Right. So 4 years later, I get introduced to the CEO of Himbrimi, Dale Saferstein. He's looking for a partner to help with the Florida market entry. They're looking to expand outside of New York. They're looking at Miami, and I don't even market. I'm only word of mouth and by referral. And so a former Diageo colleague of ours introduced us, Joe Kelly. Shout out to Joe Kelly. And so he was like, I think Rebecca would be the perfect person for you. So we meet. And we signed the deal in August, and we launched. We met in April, signed the deal in August, and here we are, actively, positioning Himbrimi throughout South Florida.
And it's such a good. South Florida is the first market in the United
Correct.
States, right?
Correct. In Florida.
In
So
Florida.
it's it's in New York and in the
it's in-
Hamptons.
okay.
Yeah, it's in New York and in the Hamptons, but here in South Florida, so we got Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and the Keys. And
Okay.
so, yeah,
Nice.
so we've got, we're in Surfside, Avra, Miami, Sylvester.
Abra is in the mall, right?
Avra's actually, no, it's at Aquilina, the Trump Tower in Surfside.
Gotcha.
Yep. And so we have incredible placements. In Fort Lauderdale, we're at Swizzle. So we're at Swizzle Rum Bar.
Were you there last night?
No, I wasn't there
They
last
did
night.
some type of competition with Palante, I think.
Yes, Palante. No,
Yeah.
I didn't get to go last night.
Yeah.
So we're at Swizzle, Empire Cigar Lounge. So they're absolutely fell in love with the.
You're their house.
Now, yes. So we're their house gin. It's huge. I know, right? My first well. Yes, my first and definitely not my last. But yes, so very exciting. The juice is incredible. So Himbrimi is an award-winning Icelandic gin. Was launched in 2017.
Okay.
In 2019, it wins Best Compound Gin in the World. Our Old Tom did.
And they started with their Old Tom.
Correct.
They started with an Old Tom first, which you don't see that a lot.
Correct. So the whole sort of vision of creating Himbrimi was actually to create almost like a whiskey, a dynamic, refined, elegant, sipping gin, using the botanicals that they had in Iceland, right? And so you have your Arctic thyme, jumbo juniper, angelica root, coriander, lemon, lime, and then you also have honey, the organic honey that is added to the end.
Right.
The most Old Toms are barrel aged. Ours goes through a 2-week maceration process, and so it yields a darker finish. And then with the organic honey, that's what you get, this beautiful amber color. But it's sensational. You're going to get more floral notes out of it. What's interesting, I was doing a tasting at Jensen's, and I was next to Santori. And so, so it's Himbrimi next to Santori, and I was able to outsell Santori. And so I had my whiskey drinkers fall in love with the Old Tom, and they were wanting to drink Old Tom, not in a cocktail,
No, straight.
just straight or on the rocks. That's it, with a big cube of ice, and that they wanted to sip on it. So they bought a bottle of Santori and they bought a bottle of Old Tom.
That's great.
That's dope, right?
Yeah.
And so, so that's it's uncommon for a gin category to kind of not steal share, but be able to recruit, consumers from the whiskey category onto gin. So it's pretty special. And then our London Dry. I mean, that's your classic, beautiful.
London Dry, correct me if I'm wrong, it starts off as the base of
correct as your Old Tom. Correct. It starts exactly like the Old Tom.
Because even the London Dry has a little bit of honey in there or something in there that
right. There's a hint of a bit of a sweetness. Right. It's a lower ABV, so usually gins are a bit higher. So it's a 40% AVB, and so it's a lot more refined, more elegant, more balanced. I think it's a lot more approachable.
Yeah,
and so
poolside drink.
Oh, 100%. All years, absolutely. One of my favorites, Sylvester's just, oh my gosh, Gimlet. I mean, the Gimlet is so outstanding. I've been pushing those,
with
pulling.
The Dry?
Yes, with the London Dry. Obviously, your Negronis are phenomenal.
Yeah.
At the Four Seasons, Giacomo made, it was a cucumber martini.
Oof.
With elderflower, lime, outstanding.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So, so you talked about brands that resonate, if not aligned with the values that I have, not only as a business person, but somebody in the hospitality community, then it's a brand that I don't want to represent.
I agree with that.
Yep. And so I know not a lot of people have that, ability. It's not easy, having to weave out.
Well, right, because people see it as you leave a lot of money on the table, but I think it's the opposite. I think that you give yourself value. Not everybody's going to drink Himbrimi, right? But it has a certain clientele. It's going to have a certain,
a demo target, of course, 100%. Yes, and so culturally authentic brands.
Yes.
Right, and so that's where I feel that I've been able to contribute most of my career, is tapping into culture.
Right. Plus, they also helped. That's another thing that people don't realize, how much the alcohol world helped certain things, because they helped bring Iceland airs to Miami.
Correct. That is correct.
which is wild.
Which is wild.
'Cause now we have
Yes.
direct flights to Iceland.
That's right.
My
To
wife is so
Reykjavik.
happy.
Yes, 6 hours. It's 6 hours, Ray.
6 hours. We don't have to do a layover in New York or anything like that.
That's correct. And
Yeah.
so it was timed perfectly. Himbrimi being the culturally, it's almost like the ambassador to Iceland. On Iceland Air, you can drink Old Tom,
Yeah.
50 mLs. They serve it on the plane. And
Yeah,
so
'cause before this, nothing was. What was coming out of Iceland?
um,
Did they have a vodka at one point?
there is a vodka. I want to say it's with William Grant and Sons. Was it Reka?
Reka. Okay.
Reka.
That's right.
Yes, Reka. So I know Reka.
But that kind of went away for like we don't see that anymore
Right.
that much.
Right. And
So we
so
don't have a brand associated with them.
correct. But of all of the brands to come out of Iceland, Himbrimi.
Yeah.
Himbrimi is the most respected. It's earned its accolades, award. Both our Old Tom and our London Dry. It's the only B Corp certified spirit brand out of Iceland. And so aligned with, all of our, environmental impact, the sustainable initiatives, community, economic impact. And so, yeah, Himbrimi culturally has been the one to have resonated the most with Icelanders. And so to have this connection with Iceland Air, this partnership, not just connection with Iceland Air, routes from Miami to Reykjavik, 6 hours. Iceland wants to become the entry point to Europe. So they want people to travel,
That's cool.
right? And discover Iceland. There's only 400,000 people in that country,
Yeah.
and there's over 4 million that visit annually. And so, bringing
We
a little bit.
definitely have to plan a trip.
Yes.
My wife wanted to go years ago when we were in New York. I don't know. Sometimes I get a bug in my ass. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to. There's so many other places. But we have friends that just went, and like the ice climbing. There's a spot which I just saw this video. It's beautiful that you could dive in between the continents. So you're literally diving between the European continent and America.
Wow.
North America. Right? And it's right down, they almost touch underwater.
Oh my gosh.
It's like a big giant crevice. Water's going to be freezing, so you got to wear a dry suit and the whole nine.
Of course.
I think it'll be really cool.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that.
And they're a big water community, water society. So the lagoons, right? The spas that they have. The Blue Lagoon is one of the most famous. And so, yeah.
They have that mud one too for your skin or whatever. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it looks super interesting.
Yeah. So we're going to be planning a trip next year to Iceland. So the distillery is making modifications.
Okay.
And there's going to be an expansion of the distillery in a couple of years. But absolutely is being able to have this,
let me know.
Cross. I love it. Yes. So cross community culture, connection with Iceland and the bar community.
That's awesome.
Yes.
What other brands are you carrying right now?
So the other brand we have, it's a domestic wine. It's award-winning Pinot Noir called Furioso Vineyards.
Furioso from?
From Willamette Valley, from Dundee.
Got it.
Sensational. So owner is Giorgio Furioso, Italian, French winemaker named Dominique Mahay, who's actually one of the most renowned winemakers in the country. He was also one of the winemakers at Willackenzie Estates, Willackenzie Wines, and so he is now the head winemaker for Furioso. Outstanding portfolios. I mean, everything from your Pinots to a white Pinot, Chardonnay, sparkling Pinot, outstanding. And so I'd love to sample you on that later. But you would absolutely love, the collection that Furioso has. Forbes magazine actually ranked Furioso's Pinot Pietro. The Pietro was ranked top 50 in the world of cold climate Pinot Noirs. And so they gave, so that accolade came to, it was last year for Forbes magazine.
I really enjoy Pinots that come out of the Willamette. I really do.
Yeah.
A lot of them are very Burgundian-like.
See.
So it's same
climate.
Same latitude.
See,
too,
same
right?
latitude,
So
right? Provenance, right? Climate.
Sense.
Yep.
And it's so, like, you don't see them a lot in places because when people think of American wines, they always go California.
Correct.
So Oregon needs a little bit of love.
No, 100%. And what's interesting is that a lot of people don't know is that Oregon has some of the strictest laws, agricultural laws.
Really?
So 0 pesticides, 0 chemicals. So everything is completely organic. They're actually even stronger than some of the FDA regulation agricultural in the U.S. Oregon has the strictest cultivation laws in the country. And so that's why you see a lot of French winemakers and winemakers in general, traveling toward Oregon.
But it's not considered biodynamic, is it?
There are wines that are biodynamic.
But not all organic.
Correct. Not all.
Are biodynamic.
Correct. I'm learning about that as well. Where some people,
it's very confusing.
Yeah.
I don't know where the line is.
See, I've heard of even, some of the wineries so strict as, people picking, during harvest are completely naked.
Wow.
Sí, en pelota. And so
wow. That sounds more like a coven than it does
right?
winery.
Yeah.
What kind of cult is it?
I know. ¿Qué rituales what rituals are being done? Yeah, but yes, there are different levels to it. But yes, Oregon does have some of the strictest, like I said, agricultural
laws. And some of them, like, they could only pick during a certain phase of the moon.
Correct.
Stuff like that. Yeah,
correct.
It's wild.
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense. It's probably how they did it back in the day, and it worked for so long.
No, for sure. But yes, some of the most amazing wines, and they're boutique wineries. We're talking, less than 8,000 cases in annual production. Oof. So yeah, these are very small boutique.
What's the price point?
Retail price points, $150, $200 a bottle.
Okay.
Some of our prices, on our whites are $85, $90.
So it's an upper.
Correct.
Like it's a high scale.
Correct.
Wine.
Correct.
It's not your table fare.
No, definitely not. Yeah,
for sure.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
Like the small batch.
Yes. There are some that are definitely for wines by the glass that we have for sure, but most definitely not. Yeah, these are by bottle.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait to trace you. I know you're going to love them. They're outstanding.
For sure.
Yes.
And then you also, you're involved, or you told me you connected Julio with Sacrificio.
So it was interesting. So Julio, this is funny.
About Julio Cabrera.
Yes. So it was a famous evening. It was October 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, it's October 2021. And celebrating Joseph Pereira. I don't know if you know Joe Pereira.
No.
But another amazing bartender, Joe, out of Vegas, DC. He's all over the place. You would love him. You guys totally get along. And so it was his 50th birthday.
Okay.
And so we went to Machialina for dinner. And then I'm like, what do you want to do after? He's like, I want to smoke sticks with Julio. I'm like, let's go. So we went to El Patio. We went to La Trova. We were outside. And Julio had mentioned to me that there was an opportunity with a rum brand that they were looking to hire him for a private blend. And he was asking my opinion about it. Right. And so I gave him my professional opinion, and I suggested the opposite. I said, I think you should do something else. And he's like, oh, I didn't think about that. And then as he was smoking his stogie, I was like, and you need to come out with your own line of cigars too. And then his face was
that was your idea?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so it planted the seed, and his face just exploded, just couldn't believe that, to create his own private label.
Yeah. And
so I had given him sort of the homework task of finding the best producer of the best tobacco. And he said, Nicaragua. And I said, okay. I said, beautiful. And so he had his contacts with Oliva.
Okay.
And so that's where the partnership started. But it was me and my team who basically fleshed out the whole business plan, the strategy, the launch, everything. It was actually one of the most successful launches of a cigar brand in its history, correct? So he became the first bartender to launch a brand outside of alcohol.
That's incredible.
Yes.
That's a really good cigar. We had one a few episodes ago. We had one on the show. We were sitting in a patio recording, and it was great. Why did you steer him away from a rum, out of curiosity?
It wasn't steering him away from a rum.
Okay.
It was the conditions of the contract of what they wanted.
Oh.
Okay. I can't explain.
No, I got you.
Yes, but it was my explanation for him creating his own.
I'm sure it basically gave him more control.
Correct. That's the other thing we were talking about. IP, intellectual property.
Right.
Your intellectual property, correct. Because he wouldn't have had ownership of it. So yeah.
You're so smart. You're a wealth of knowledge. I love talking to you. You also, like, you want to mention what you mentioned to me outside. We're standing outside and waiting for Tommy to get in here. And we just start talking licensing and trademark and all this stuff. And we really don't know what we don't know.
Correct.
Like you said earlier, because you just put me onto some game that
Everybody should know. Yes.
Everybody should know this.
Yes. And again, you don't know what you don't know, right? When you're first starting off in the business, you're creating your company, or you haven't even created a company. You just have an idea, right? Even that idea has value, right? And so I didn't know this until over a year ago. I also was introduced to the SBDC. It's Small Businesses Development Center. Okay. So the SBDC exists in the entire country. So if you have an idea or a business and you're in Hawaii, you can actually log on and, connect with the SBDC there locally, right? So here in Florida, right, if you're looking to start a business or you have one, you reach out to the SBDC. They're connected to FIU. All right. And so under the umbrella of the Small Businesses Development Center, so it's a government funded program where all of the advisors, all of the services that they provide are free. Right. And it's for small businesses to basically become successful. Right. This gives them an opportunity to minimize costs when it comes to finance, legal, contracts, marketing. And so you can pay the legal clinic of FIU $25 donation. A donation. $25, right? That is the price of a cocktail. That's right. Nowadays, the price of a cocktail. You make a $25 donation to the legal clinic. And the legal clinic, which is basically all of the senior students with the professor, and they will do all of your contracts for you for free. Patents, trademarks, right, the correct. So the only thing that you would be financially responsible for would be for the fee of the U.S. patent. That's it. But the actual process, the submittal, submitting of the contracts and the applications, all of that is handled by FIU for free.
Which I'm like, man, I wish I would have known this like 6 months ago because I spent dollars.
These attorneys are not cheap.
It could have costed me a $25.
Ray, I felt you understand. I felt the same. Like I spent umpteen thousands dollars, right? When you're first setting up your company, right? And the contracts and DA operating agreements, sales agreements, all of it. You set that up, and it's costly. And for a small business that sometimes isn't even, it's pre-revenue. Right. You're pre-revenue. So you're schlepping out, thousands and thousands of dollars before you see a penny. Right.
You're operating at a negative.
100%. And that's normal, right? For a large company, but it's me, myself, and I, right? Yo soy el presidente. I'm the vice president. Right. You're the president. You're the vice president. You're everything. So the SBDC, Small Business Development Center, like I said, here in Florida, it's connected to FIU. And so under FIU, you have access to everything, Ray: marketing, finance, advisors. The financial advisors will connect you with VPs of banks, of all the different local banks.
I'm telling you, I live close to FIU already, so
you're gonna be knocking on their door.
Campus, I'll be there all the time.
I love it.
I'll bring cafecito, so
that's it.
That's it.
That's it. But yes, and so they provide some of the most talented advisors, business advisors, and they're at your disposal, and it's all complimentary. It's what the SBDC was set up for, is to help small businesses become successful.
That's so wild.
How amazing, right?
That's great.
Yeah. And then there's another program that I highly recommend for you to look at. It's the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program.
You told me about this at the launch of Him to Me.
Yes. And so it's a grant provided by Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, for the past 15 plus years, has invested over $800 million into the small businesses, 10K across the country.
Right.
So from Hawaii to Puerto Rico. And so it's a grant. It's a semester-long program for business owners and leaders, and it's basically sharpening your lives. So, for example, Ray, if you're looking for expansion, you're looking for investment, you're looking to scale your business in whatever capacity, they're there to help you do that and learn the, tools, information, business acumen, whatever it is that you need. And there's so many other resources. And again, this is free. This is completely free. And so it's the curriculum is provided by Babson College, which is one of the most renowned business colleges in the country. And so everything that you need to know about your business, building your brand, building your, your operating, understanding your operating costs, your everything. And so 5-year game plan, like where do you see, for example, your brand, your business. Mhm.
Right.
So yes, so I graduate on the 11th of December. And so I was
Always
voted,
learning, huh?
I know, always learning.
You have
And
to.
was crazy. This was crazy. So from every cohort, they vote to have an ambassador represent their cohort. And so they
It was
voted
you.
for me. Yeah. And so I am the ambassador for cohort 35 to represent Miami.
That's awesome.
Yes,
That's
yes,
awesome.
yes.
You know, you said something earlier that made so much sense too, because you say that you're basically word of mouth,
Yeah.
but your business is you.
Yeah.
So imagine if you weren't word of mouth, then the overhead and the hiring and this and that.
Right. I don't recommend it. It's not like something I'm saying, Mira, no, don't spend the money on the marketing. But it's yes.
But it's good for you. It works for you because it's you know what? It also makes it more personal, and I like that.
Yeah. I vet who I
Right.
work with
I like
because
that.
the projects that we take on, right, not just from a consulting standpoint, right? So Q Consulting firm focuses on business and brand development, right? So that's strategy, go-to-market strategy, implementation, launch, execution, all of it. Sales and distribution. So we also have our import license and we have a sales force to be able to, manage a proper route to market, like Himbrimi, like Furioso, for example. And then, of course, we also have our events and activations. So wine dinners, experiences that we are going to be offering as well. And so word of mouth, it's been a blessing for me where I've had, some of the most incredible brands. Q Consulting as Mi Genta Tequila was one of the, top, also tequila brands, ultra premium brands to launch during the pandemic. I was a part of that. I was a part of the first ever Carlsberg Beer Global Advocacy Program, Ambassador Advocacy Program.
Wow.
We touched 4 countries, Chile, Kenya, Mexico, the US. And so we were able to do that. And then now, like I said, shifting a bit of our focus, working with Julio Cabrera and, Sacrificio Cigars, the launch of that, and that project was incredible. And then, pivot back to spirits. And that was the first time as well Q Consulting did anything outside of alcohol,
Right.
outside of beverages. And so that was really exciting for me too, is another feather in my cap, that I was able to step out of just, wines and spirits and go into a whole different, industry.
Why not?
So yeah, why not? Why not?
Why not? You
Yes.
could do it.
Yes.
Man, that is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could talk to you for hours, but I think we got ourselves a show here. I really do.
Thank you.
Please, before we go, promote anything you want to promote. Drink Himbrimi.
Yeah.
Where
So,
can we find you?
oh my God, yes.
If you want to be found.
Of course, I do. I want to be found. So, you could start I have, I'm on Instagram, right?
Right.
If follow me at Queen Rebe, QuinRebe, or Q Consulting Firm. So that's our Insta handle. Places where you can find Himbrimi, follow Himbrimi too at Gin Himbrimi, Himbrimi, Himbrimi. Places where you can find Himbrimi, Dead Flamingo. Shout out to the boys of the Dead Flamingo.
Nice.
Yes.
Empire
Cigar Lounge in off of Las Olas, Swizzle Rum Bar off of Las Olas. We're also in Sylvester Bar, amazing drinks, shout out to Renzo.
Renzo, yeah.
Yeah, Renzo, shout out to Renzo and Ben Potts and, the amazing team that's there, Robert. Brickell Wine Bank. If you're, yeah, it's a neighborhood. It's right near LPM and Osaka.
It's a liquor store?
Liquor store.
Okay, gotcha.
Great wine and spirits liquor shop. Huh? Highly recommend it. Jensen's or at First Store, number 1.
27th?
Yep. First Store location. OG store. That's right. We're at Jensen's. Let's see, the Balfour Hotel also has Himbrimi. We're just seating it,
And the
you know.
Keys, where are you in the
Keys? Oh my God, General Horseplay.
Oh, you're at General Hospital?
Yes, shout out to Tim. So he did such a great job. We're also going to be positioning Himbrimi in Island Dogs. So
Oh, wow.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So shout out to Stevie, to Stephen Davila as well. Four Seasons, Giacomo. And so starting in December, we'll have Himbrimi and inside the Four Seasons.
That's great.
Yes,
The one in
yes.
Surfside or the one
The one in Brickell.
the one in Brickell? Got it.
Yeah, the one in Brickell.
Okay.
And so we're, you know, slowly but in the right places positioning, you know, Himbrimi. Baru in Doral. Yep.
Wow.
So Baru in Doral will also be carrying Himbrimi.
A lot of places already for you to just have sign in August, you said?
Yeah, well, yes, onboarding started in August. We started selling in September. Okay.
It happens. It's
It
all right.
happens.
It happens all the
Yeah,
time.
it's okay.
Listen, this is the most controlled environment we filmed in because usually we film at bars.
Yeah. This was the first. It was great. It was great. But yeah, so thank you for that. So we onboarded in August and we started selling out in the market in September.
That's crazy. Good for you.
Thank you, Ray.
For you.
And then my graduation dinner celebration is going to be at Bouchon, just so you know.
Oh, yes?
Yes.
Oh.
Friday. So I graduate on the 11th.
Okay.
And so we have our celebratory party with the cohorts at Baru.
Okay.
And then Friday night, my sister was like, where do you want to go? Somewhere special. And I said, I would love to go to Bouchon.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yes. So I will be celebrating.
Pleasant surprise.
Yes. Surprise.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. So I'll bring a bottle of Furioso. So yes. I'll bring a bottle of Furioso.
I'll forget to charge the corgis that day.
That's okay. I love it. Thank
I'll
you.
forget.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
put in the corgis.
Thank you. But yeah, so sister was asking like, hey, where do you want to go? And I'm like, you know, I haven't been to Bouchon and I would absolutely love to dine with
Yes.
Ray.
You have to come.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. So it'll be my sister and I and you.
That's great.
Yes.
That's great. Rebecca, thank you so much
You're
for coming on
welcome.
the show.
Thank you for having me.
For all this knowledge, for everything you do and what you've done for everybody. You know what I
Thank
mean?
you.
You could tell that you help people along the way, and that's important. That's very important.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And there you have it, guys. Another week, another show. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time. Cheers.